Hello and welcome to Joy News Desk. I am Amiesi Nyamiche Thompson. Coming up this hour, 2 drowned after their boat capsized on the Black Volta in the Upper West region. More details later. Also coming up, cash irregularities, including payments not supported by relevant documents by public boards and state-owned enterprises, nearly 7 billion Ghana cedis in just 4 years within 2024 alone, counting for more than 66% of this amount. More on the Auditor General's report for 2024 as Transparency International calls for prosecution of persons implicated in the Auditor General's report that uncovered over 18.4 billion in financial irregularities.
Well, I think that let us separate what is criminality from what are, we call all of them infractions, so it is easy for people to get.
Also on our desk, former Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Chain Mensa Bonsu, urges the minority to put its house in order.
It is important for them to put their acts
That's a profound
together.
statement.
Yes.
And we have the latest on the regionals of this National Science and Math Quiz. Plus business updates coming up on our desk. Don't go away. And we start from the Upper West region. 2 people have drowned after their boat capsized on the Black Volta. They tragically lost their lives at Bankpama on their return from Burkina Faso after attending a funeral. His district chief executive for Wild West, Richard Owulo.
So the following day, that was on Monday, we were there. These were people that attended a funeral in Burkina Faso. After the funeral, they were returning to Ghana. And on crossing the Black Volta, the boat capsized, and then 2 of them got drowned, a man and a woman. So currently, as we speak, only the woman has been retrieved around a community called Tule. For the man, is still missing, and the search team is still on. So I think that is the thing about the Black Volta incident.
So how usual is it?
Normally, during these times of every year, when the rains are at its peak, we've been recording such incidences. I remember last year, this time around the Tule area, some people got drowned, about 6 people. And this year, that unfortunate incident has happened again.
So what safety measures are you putting in place, or have you put in place so far? Because at least it's an eye-opener.
Yes, yesterday when the incident happened, I invited the NADMO. The district NADMO director was there. The regional NADMO also came in, and they assured us that they will provide some life jackets so that we'll use it as safety measures for people who always want to cross over to the other side.
What advice do you have for the populace around that area, those living along the Black Volta?
Yesterday, when I visited, I noticed that minors were using the canoes, and I think that is quite unfortunate. So I advise that we can put in some basic regulations as regards to water transportation so that to save their lives. I realized that some children as low as between 9 to 10 years were using the canoes, and I think that that is not allowed. So I think that if we have to all come together in collaboration with NADMO so that we can sensitize communities around those areas living closer to the Black Volta, to put in some safety measures to avoid some of these occurrences.
So Rafik, has MC put in place these safety measures that he's talking about?
According to him, he has informed DISEC about the issue, and then also they are also working with NADMO, the National Disaster Management Organization, the district, and then the regional office, for them to go to those communities. There are about 20 communities that are lying closer to the Black Volta in that particular enclave. And so they want to do education, they want to do sensitization, and then afterwards they'll hand over these life jackets to them. But as the DC put it, he's deeply worried about the issue of minors who are, operating this boats. And so this is one thing that he said that you will be active on, and then they are going to deploy at least personnel to ensure that it doesn't happen again.
Well, were those two who lost their lives the only passengers on the boat, or there were others?
There were other people who were on the boat, but we are told that they managed to swim ashore. They were returning from Burkina Faso from a funeral, and then their community hailed from Bankpama, which is closer to the Black Volta in the west side of the district. And so their place of disembarkation was at the was at Bankpama, and that was where they got into, and then the boat capsized. And so these were two bodies, but a male and then a female. But I'm told that both of them are middle age, but they managed able to retrieve only the woman around Chole, which is another community in the West district.
And I hope this is not something that is regular on the Black Volta. At least we've not had many incidents there. But how is the community reacting? Have we spoken to any family members of the deceased especially?
According to DC, this is a regular thing because, because of the rains that we're having in the northern belt of the country, you expect these things to happen in this particular enclave. And then if a lot of safety measures are not put in place, talking about from Kokolugu going around Wuchao area, Fokale area, you can count as many as 183 communities in the Ghana side that are lying closer to the Black Volta. And so because of the rains that we are having, the water level at the Black Volta has also increased. And then so if people are not really careful, if they are not putting on the needed safety measures, at least that's where it is tending to be disaster for them. But I also managed to speak to some family members. They were really deeply worried about the incident, and they hope that it never happens.
All right. Thank you so much, Rafiq Salam. Is our Upper West Regional Correspondent. Moving on, Ghana's public sector is pleading with financial irregularities. In fact, the 2024 Auditor General's report put total cash payments not supported with relevant documents and unaccounted for revenue collected by public boards and statutory institutions at nearly 7 billion Ghana cedis in just 4 years, with infractions in 2024 alone accounting for over 66% of that amount. Joy News Research has been digging deep, and lead data and research analyst Kofi J. Isaac joins me in the studio with details of this. And Kofi, welcome to our desk. And how did we arrive at nearly 7 billion in cash irregularities in just 4 years?
Mami, if I tell you that we have moved from cash irregularities worth about, let's say, 8 million Ghana cedis to now 4.6 billion Ghana cedis, would you believe that is the current situation of the country, where if you look at the smart wall, usually when you're talking about where irregularities stemming from state-owned entities and institutions come from, you will call payroll irregularities. But the story has changed, where apart from debts and loans and bad loans that have been locked up and all of that, cash irregularities, which you said that these are payments made without proper documentation by public institutions, hitting some 4.6 billion Ghana cedis in just 1 year, 2024. And if we do the math and we decide to add all the 4 years, you're asking how we go here. Let me run you through the numbers, and you see how far we have come as a country, where in 2020, definitely because of COVID and some procurement that were done and payments made, when we saw that 1.8 billion in cash irregularities, many said, well, it could be because of that. Then we had a dip in 2021, which was around somewhere 506 million Ghana cedis in terms of irregularities, significant drop. We recorded 23.5 million in 2022, then 7.9 million Ghana cedis in 2023. This was actually the lowest. And in 2023, the entire irregularities hit some 8.8 billion Ghana cedis. And many said that this is an improvement from the average 12, 15 billion that we were recording in previous years. Boom, in 2024, we see this figure going up by more than, I should say, 500%, hitting 4.7 billion Ghana cedis in just 1 year. And that's the total amount that we are talking about. Now, in fact, if you break this down and you look at where the infractions are actually coming from, the Auditor General's report says that about 50%, I should say more than 50% of these irregularities coming from payments made without proper documentation came from ECG. Why? Because ECG actually underdeclared its revenue by close to 3 billion Ghana cedis in 2023 or 2024. And in fact, if you look at underpayment to SOEs and IPPs, also in the energy sector, reached about 1.29 billion Ghana cedis in that same period. This is the reason why, for the first time in a long time, we are seeing the irregularities not coming from the finance ministry, but agencies, boards, and institutions under the energy ministry, which currently holds about 86% of the total 18.4 billion Ghana cedis that was recorded as cash or total irregularities in the year of 2024.
Well, talking about irregularities, let's look at the total recorded in the period in review. How much are we looking at?
I'm not sure you would want to see that figure, but because it's so big, 72.6 billion Ghana cedis is the amount we are looking at in just 5 years. If you call 4 or 5 years, if you want to, how you want to do the math.
That's so much money.
That's about close to, let's say, $7 billion in irregularities, whether it's coming from cash.
Offset our debts.
Yeah. It can actually, a big component. In fact, if you look at how much we borrowed from the IMF, it is actually more than twice how much we are getting from the IMF. Because this is $7 billion.
Exactly.
If we use the current cities, if we use the current rates, that's about roughly around $7 billion in irregularities, and majority actually came from bad loans. But you're saying
this is just in 4 years, right?
Exactly, 4 or 5 years. If you want to put it that way, let's say 5 years, and we are recording this huge amount of money in irregularities, majority coming from the energy sector.
Interesting. No wonder the current minister has cancelled out over 200,000 contracts. Right?
And we possibly, maybe we might see the privatization of ECG, the last distribution aspect. We do not know when that will be done, but it looks like some of this waste, and irregularities.
Waste?
Well,
these are unaccounted for, right?
According to the Auditor General, a big component of that 18.4 billion, I think about more than 15 billion Ghana cedis of that can be recovered. Why? Because most of them are coming from bad loans, and investment, and debt. You can do that. But usually, where it is so difficult to recoup or to recover is when the irregularities are stemmed or actually in procurements, cash irregularities, or less taxes. You can actually recover some.
But there should be some form of paper trail to all of this. Who is behind these amount of monies, sipping through the system just like that?
And if you listen to the name of the audit report, it says boards, corporations, and institutions. So it doesn't take just one person to actually come with some of these huge irregularities, but it looks like it's a whole cartel in the public space.
Well, we hope we get to the bottom of this. This is really serious. Anyway, thank you so much, Kofi J, for another brilliant work there. Well, let's take you now to Nkwanta. Education authorities, following recent ethnic clashes in the Nkwanta South Municipality in the Otu region, that saw the loss of lives and destruction to properties, and also the closure of schools and some key institutions, such as the banks and hospitals in Nkwanta town. There's a new development. We are learning of arrangements being made by authorities for students in 3 senior high schools in the area to be moved to sister schools in the region for the West Africa Secondary School Certificate Examination, WASI. Let's speak to OT Regional Correspondent Peter Senu for further details on this. So, Peter, what's the current situation? Have the students already left to the sister schools?
Well, Mami, as we do know, since the inception of this conflict, some schools have opened their doors to accept some of these students who are willing to do their studies with them. So we do know that some of the students are already in some sister schools across the region. But officials have put in some measures so that these students, especially the third years, do not suffer the brunt of the conflict that has been going on in Nkwanta area. So the arrangement was that some sister schools around would take care of these students to write their WASI. In fact, we are talking about 844 students who are directly impacted by this conflict, and so that has been arranged. But just as we wrapped up with this arrangement, a call came through that there is an update on this update. But I want you to hear from the horse's own mouth. I have here with me Mr. Charles Commissar. He is the Auditor Regional Chairman for Charles, so I would want you to hear the other details from him himself. So, Mr. Commissar Charles, welcome to Joy News. You were giving me an update earlier, and then just as we wrapped up, we had an update on the update you were giving me. What do we know on that update you gave me earlier regarding the resumption of these students back to school?
Thank you very much. It has been a worrying issue to Charles, especially in the children, because having taught the students for like 3 years and they are preparing for their exams. Now the exam just in the corner before this incident, nothing for the incident to go. So the first agreement, as Peter said, this morning, a few minutes ago, I had a chat with my colleagues in the three secondary schools, and they informed me that earlier in the day, they had a discussion with the regional director of education, and the students have to go back to school by the close of this week. And all the students, by the third years, they will be at Nkwanta Senior High School. Both boys and girls, as from the three schools, will converge at Nkwanta Senior High School so that they can provide them with diploma.
But this arrangement, is it only for the third years or for the entirety of the students who have left for their various rooms?
It's for the third years.
Okay.
So that they can prepare.
So this suggests that the second and then the first years would have to be in their homes for now.
Yes.
Yeah, but we also do know that this arrangement is pending the security situation in Nkwanta town. What arrangements are you making to ensure the safety of these children, so such that nothing happens as we have witnessed in the past week?
When the incident started, the military had made a camp on the campus. With the current arrangement, they will move to one of the houses. But initially, they were the girls' dormitory. Now they will leave the girls' dormitory, and then the students will occupy them, but they will still be on the school campus.
But these three cohorts of students from different schools converging, the cost implication, feeding, accommodation, does Nkwanta Senior High School have the infrastructure worth without to take them in, and then while they prepare for the examinations?
Yeah, when we look at it in terms of facilities, they have them because their enrollment is more than 1,000, and we are not talking about 800 plus. So in terms of those infrastructure, it is okay. But when we come to the feeding, the community school is a day school, so they are not part of it. So the child will go in to support our sister schools, and I will also appeal to people in the community to come to our school so that we can feed these students whilst on the campus.
Before we let go of you, these students are from different schools, different ethnic backgrounds. What is your expectation as they will have to come together at least for a month plus to stay and write their final examinations?
I believe the students will cope. They will manage. Some of them are friends, some of them are related. But when you take my school, for instance, we have people belonging to all the ethnic groups. We live very comfortable.
Right. So, Mami, we have been speaking to the Auditor Regional Chairman for Charles, Mr. Charles Commissar. So that is him. He's been giving us some updates on what exactly has been happening in Nkwanta and then with regard to these students going forward. So if there is any update again, we are sure to bring to our viewers in subsequent bulletin.
Well, Peter, just before you leave us, what's the current security situation in the Nkwanta town?
Well, we do know that there's the presence of the military, the police, and other agencies that would ensure peace in there. So currently there's security presence on the ground. In fact, we have not heard or seen any disturbances, so we would want to believe that the security are on top of their work and would ensure peace as these students also go back to finish with their academic works for the year.
Well, I know it's just the third-year students that are moving on to other sister schools to write their WASI. But then those left behind, is there any form of psychological, arrangement for them going through a thorny situation with a conflict and also having to go outside their schools to other places to study? It must have some form of mental toll on these students. Are there arrangements for them to be able to go through this challenging period?
Well, as we do know, they are with their various parents, but I would want to defer that question to Mr. Commissar again if he has anything to say about that, because they are directly in charge of what education in the region. And then, so Mr. Commissar, I think you heard, is there anything in terms of counseling for these children, some of them who may have witnessed this conflict, in fact, conflict for the first time in their lives? Is there any arrangement for counseling or any psychological support for them?
Yes, in all our schools we have counselors. And when this incident happens, we ask child members to open their doors to them and then also have interaction with them. For instance, in my school, I met them and then had a chat with them to put some of these things behind them. And those that we see that they have extra challenges, we refer them to the school.
So going forward, we expect that the various counselors in the schools take charge and then kind of fine-tune their thinking with regard to settling for academic work. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Right. So, that's it from the Charles chairman in the region here, Mr. Commissar Charles. And so, just as I've indicated, if there are other updates we may want to bring to our viewers, in subsequent bulletins, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter, for that update. We've also been joined by Executive Director for Institute for Education Studies, Dr. Peter Ntia. I understand you've been listening into the conversation, Peter. These students are being transported to sister schools to write their WASIs. The conflict situation in Nkwanta is still dicey, but yet still, you have also been projecting or pushing for some form of reviewed educational system, especially in conflict areas, using the digital system. Is it time now that these external examinations should also be carried out digitally?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, good morning to your viewers. To carry the exams on a digital platform or digitally is something that I don't think we are ready now, especially looking at the digital divide in our system. But of course, if you look at this situation, I think that if we were able to do our homework very well, we would have been able to secure the situation and then ensure that the students are able to undertake their exams in an environment that is free of all the other psychological challenges that they would go through. I believe that our emergency response system in terms of educational, system is very problematic, and that is why we have to transport these cases to a different community. I understand that it's important for them to have a very secure environment to undertake their activities, and for their own personal protection, I think it is ideal that they are given this measure. But we need to put together systems so that whenever these issues come up, we will be able to help these students and not put them through this psychological trauma. And that is what we lack, and that is what we have to be, we have been calling for.
Right. And so in this circumstances, there's also the issue around Zwarungu, where you had students fight over a phone, leading to the closure of the school as well. it looks like our education system, especially at the senior high school level, is really facing a lot of challenges. What must we do now? There are too many agitated students. If the students aren't fighting, there's a conflict somewhere that is pushing students out of their classrooms and making the situation a whole bit challenging. What do we do? What really do we do? Do you think that the education ministry is not doing enough? The Ghana education system is helpless in the situation? What's going on?
Well, I think that everybody is trying to do their best in order to ensure that we have a conducive atmosphere to deliver quality education to our wards. I believe that the challenge is with the nature of one of the challenges is with the nature of the students that we are dealing with now, and the modus operandi of our school administration. I have consistently said that we need to improve on our communication with our students, so that irrespective of whatever issue that arises, there should be enough room to have, room to communicate or to have a discussion with our students, so that the grievances and other issues that they have are heard. Most of the time, I feel that because of the gap between the school authority and the students, they ideally might think that their approach to handling issues is always the best. And that would always generate into other things, because the nature of the students that we are having now is also a kind of student, is a kind of student who would also want to be heard and who would also want to do other things that are not even appropriate. So if you give room for communication, if you allow the students to voice their grievances, and they feel that they will be heard, I think that will be able to minimize these challenges. I'm not saying that will curtail it. No, we can't minimize it. Again, the coming back of the parents to in the school administration is also an important factor that I think we can leverage on to deal with this level of indiscipline that continues to happen in our schools. Parents play a critical role, and I want to see a situation whereby the executives of the PTA will have constant interaction with the school leadership in terms of, the student leadership, and then the entire student body. They should have constant interaction with them. The parents themselves should have constant interaction with them. And then they should also have constant interaction with the teachers. They can serve as a bridge between the students and the teachers, and try to settle any kind of difficulty and disturbances that might come up. My challenge is with our inability to up to now publish or pass the IT policy. Recently I heard the minister talking about they going to bring out the IT policy of the Ministry of Education. This thing has been in the system for some time now. There should be a clear directive as to the role of these technological devices in our teaching and learning system. You are giving the students tablets. Some of them might not have it, but some of them might have their own personal computers and mobile phones that they might want to use for learning purposes. My understanding is that the practice is that the one giving the digital device is the focus of the ministry, that it should always be the ministry and not the student. If that is the case, this should be communicated clearly to the student. I know that the students will not follow through, but when this is done and this is communicated to the parents, then we will be able to curtail or know how we will deal with students who come to campus with all these digital devices. And if we are able to implement some of these things, I think that we'll be able to minimize the extent of disturbances that is happening on our campus. I don't feel comfortable at all with the nature of these disturbances, because it affects the delivery of education in our second cycle institutions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peter Antis, Executive Director of IFEST. Now, former Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Mensah Bonsu, says the minority caucus in Parliament must stay focused and put in their house in order, emphasizing that the opposition New Patriotic Party return to power largely rests on the shoulders of the parliamentary group. Speaking on PM Express with Evans Benson on Monday night, he acknowledged that while the minority is making efforts, there's still room for improvement.
As individuals, not as a political party. But when they came, they were able to shine in Parliament, even two. We were 61 in the 200-member chamber. I'm talking about the MPP. In terms of percentage, ours was just about 31%. Then they see towards over us. And yet we registered our presence boldly under J.H. Mensah, right? When President Mills took over and I became the minority leader, well, without beating my chest, I would say that together with the then minority, we achieved tremendously. And I'm hoping that in spite of the number that they have now, to be able to register strongly on the political radar. So there will be a force to partner the party to win back victory. In opposition, the burden of the party in clawing back power is much more on the shoulders of the parliamentary group. And so it is important for them to put their acts
That's a profound
together.
statement.
Yes.
You think the current leadership in parliament appreciate that on the minority side?
They should appreciate. And every now and then I have some discussions with the leader that this is the position. So they should be better focused and deal with the real issues, right? So
have they satisfied your expectations of them in the last few months?
They are doing their best.
Is it enough though? Is their best enough?
They are doing their best, but there's still room for improvement.
Well, the former majority leader, J.H. Mensah, also cautioned the NPP against reducing its presidential primaries to a contest of popularity or eligibility alone, referencing a pivotal moment in the NPP's political history. Mr. J.H. Mensah recalled the warning of party elder Kwame Pianim in 2007 when 17 aspirants vied to succeed President Kufuor.
Okay. Yes, you see, in 2009, I, as the main proponent of that amendment, proposed that the number should even be 3. And the reason why we made that proposal was that, you see, in any political party, you have 3 strands. In a political party, we may have the hawks, we may have the conservatives, then we may have the moderates. So in any political party, you have these 3 segments. I wanted our discourse in the party to really relate to these matters so that we move away from personality cults building in the party. Unfortunately, when it came to effecting the amendment, on the spur of the moment, Dan Boche, who at the time was that the General Secretary? I think he had left the seat. He was the one who started the momentum. Oh, let me associate myself with my chairman, my regional chairman. He was the one who started the movement to go against that proposal and rather increase it to 5, which is what found expression in the Constitution. Today, people are saying, oh, let's do away with it. In principle, I disagree. And I thought that if we are going back, then there's no need to now say that, oh, then if nobody out of maybe the number garners more than 50 plus 1, then we do a second round involving the first 2. In that regard, then we'll say that the first past post. If you're allowing for as many as possible to enter the fray, it's going to be a prodigal waste of our time. And the most popular at the time who emerges then should be the person to be crowned. You don't want a situation where somebody garners about 45%, somebody is in a distant second, garners about 10%, the rest of them are struggling to have 2-3%, and they all come together to undo the one who has the popularity. They gang up against him.
Because he didn't cross 50.
Because he didn't cross 50. I disagree with that. I disagree. But of course, it's the decision of the party. It's attracted, should I say, consensual approval. So I should stick by it for the time being. But in principle, I disagree. But that is the decision of the party.
Asache Mensah Bonsu, their former majority leader of parliament. Now, the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts has inaugurated a 10-member focal team on restitution to spearhead Ghana's efforts to retrieve looted cultural artifacts from foreign museums and private collections. The initiative forms part of a broader national campaign to reclaim Ghana's stolen heritage and restore pride in its cultural identity. The team is expected to lead negotiations, gather historical documentation, and also engage with international partners in the months ahead. Sector Minister Jifa Ablagomashi reaffirmed government's unwavering support for restitution efforts, describing it as a moral and historical responsibility.
These items are not just symbols of our past. They are vessels of identity, memory, and pride. Their absence has left a painful void in our historical narrative and in the soul of our nation. In recent years, we have seen a global awakening, an acknowledgement that the legacy of colonialism must be addressed not with words, but with action. The restitution of looted cultural property is a vital part of that process. Ladies and gentlemen, this reconstituted focal team is tasked with a noble and complex mission to lead Ghana's efforts in identifying, documenting, negotiating, and securing the return of our cultural treasures, and to ensure fair reparative justice for wrongs done.
Well, you're still listening to Joy News Desk with me, Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson. We'll take a break. We'll return with business.
Welcome back to business here on Joy News Desk. My name is Winston Taki, and our to our first business story. The Gaming Commission of Ghana says it will not relent in cracking the whip on unauthorized football betting and gaming companies. The commission says it will roll out robust reforms which will sanitize the sector. Jonah Asamoah Nyako, head of research, planning and evaluation at the commission, spoke at a ceremony to honor some customers of Bankpama who won big on the Aviator platform.
According to the Ghana Revenue Authority, Ghana's betting sector has the potential to generate over 1 billion cedis in revenue. Data from the Ghana Association of Sports Betting Operations shows that approximately 158 million cedis was paid as taxes in 2024, while some betting analysts maintain that taxing betting earnings will not only bring in revenue to the state, but also deter the youth from gambling. The Gaming Commission of Ghana continues to implement policies to sanitize the sector. This was reiterated by Jonah Asamoah Nyako, head of research, planning, monitoring, and evaluation at the commission, who spoke at a ceremony to honor loyal customers of Bankpama.
The Gaming Commission is working closely with licensed gaming operators like Bankpama to promote responsible gaming and curb underage gambling. I would want to reiterate that gaming can be addictive. Bet responsibly. Gaming is not suitable for persons under 18 years. And once again, congratulations to the winners.
Meanwhile, Boran Danyungo, head of marketing and CSR at Bankpama Ghana, said her company has designed financial management training programs to equip youth with essential skills.
We are here to celebrate our 8 Aviator players who won in the same round with a payout of more than 1.1 million USD. They were playing on Aviator from different countries. That's 6 winners are from Cameroon, we have 1 winner from Ghana, and then we have 1 winner from Zambia. So today we are honoring them, we are celebrating their wins, but apart from that, we are also going to organize a financial empowerment program to help them invest wisely the money that they have won. But apart from that, we are also going to encourage them to also play responsibly because they have won big. We don't want them to also end up maybe spending more money into betting. So this is an historical win. It is 8 winners winning in the same round, more than 150 USD.
Away from that, GT Bank Ghana is strengthening its corporate social responsibility drive with a focus on health and education through its annual Autism Awareness Workshop. Divisional Head for Corporate Communication and Experience, Agnes Owusu-Ephraim, says the 4-day event is designed to provide practical tools and consultations to help parents, teachers, and caregivers better understand and support children living with autism.
A workshop attended by over 800 participants and streamed live on multiple platforms combines expert-led discussion with one-on-one consultations. Specialists from behavioral, analysis, health, and education are helping parents and educators identify children's strengths and tailor learning approaches. Divisional Head for Corporate Communication and Experience, GT Bank Ghana, Agnes Owusu-Ephraim, says the initiative underscores its responsibility to support the communities where it operates.
The impact has been profound, I must say. On the side of teachers, you observe that teachers now have a better view of how to work with children that are not necessarily conforming to the rules of the class or to the standard rules that we have in a certain space or area. To parents and guardians, caregivers, grandparents, we also have house helps. You observe that unlike before that you rather spank a child, you rather want to treat a child with a certain attitude, you now understand when the child is behaving this way, what should I do? What shouldn't I do? Understand what the child likes, what they don't like. These are the things that most people have given us feedback on. And then finally, some have to make changes to the schools the children attend.
The Ghana Health Services says greater collaboration between corporate organizations and public health institutions is key to improving autism awareness and support across the country. Speaking at the GT Bank Autism Workshop, Director of Family Health, Dr. Kennedy Brightson, emphasized that early intervention and education can help unlock the potential of children living with autism while reducing stigma and social exclusion.
Very often, a lot of families, for fear of stigma and some level of shame, tend to hide such children at home and in their rooms. If we give them the chance, they can have a certain level of special education, and that will bring out the potential in them. I am particularly happy that GT Bank is championing this cause. This is an excellent corporate social responsibility, and I think that if other organizations will follow the example of GT Bank, a lot of burden will be taken off the appropriate bodies that are already overstretched.
With government backing and strong community participation, GT Bank's Autism Initiative is shaping a more inclusive future for children and families across Ghana.
Business here on Newsdesk. My name is Winston Taki. Mamesi, over to you.
The regionals for the National Science and Math Quiz in the Ashanti and Volta regions continue today. Let's stay on the lines with Collins and Adobia on this beat. Collins, please, where are you currently? What's the contest going on? Collins, unmute and speak to us. We don't seem to have Collins yet. Let's speak to Adobia Sari. Adobia, how is it going in the Volta region?
I'll be saying it every day.
I thought you were going to say something different today. You know I'm always a fool.
Okay. Mama, can you hear me though?
I can, Adobia. What's happening there?
Well, the fourth contest, which is also the first contest of the second day of the Volta Regional Qualifiers, is taking place. Round one has just ended. We are calculating the scores for the quiz listeners to announce. But yesterday I forgot to mention that we are in poll, and the venue for the quiz is Sunrise Christian High School. Yesterday's contests were quite interesting. Those who won with impressive points of 55, 58, and 47. So yesterday, Wovenu SHTS won Adidome SHS won, and Bakpo SHS also won. But there's one school which didn't win, but have also qualified for the regional and national championship, and that's Bando Senior High. They got the 40 points threshold, so they've also made it. Now, Wovenu has an interesting story. For years of persisting, finally yesterday they were able to win their contest. They've never won and they've never gotten 40 points before. But the first time of winning, they didn't just make 40 points, they made about 55 points, which was very impressive. They were so excited. It was nice to see them jubilating. So they are going to make their debut at the national championship later this year in October. Okay, so the first announcement has just gone, and St. Paul's is leading. So this morning's contest, you have Agotime SHS, St. Paul's Senior High and Minor Seminary, and Battle SHS, and St. Paul's is leading in round 1. So they're excited. We wait to see how the contest will end and how the other contests of the day will also end, Mami.
So, Adobia, what other dishes are you trying in the Volta region? I know that you've been to quite some places, but what are you interested in? Aside the national science and math quiz, of course.
Have you seen my cheeks? The people here are so respectful and they are nice. I mean, they are treating us so well. Not that the other regions didn't treat us well, but over here, we've been here for just 2 days, but you're feeling at home. You are not homesick in this place. For my cheek.
I can see. I was telling you the other time. You told me I was telling lies. Now you yourself, you can attest to the fact that your cheeks are growing bigger every day. Anyway, thank you so much, Adobia, for that report. And Adobia Sari is in the Volta region following the National Science and Math quiz over there. Collins couldn't join us because of the terrible phone lines. But I'm told Collins is back on. Collins, what can you report where you are?
Well, Mami, so currently we are in the Ashanti region and we're in the Opokwari Senior High School where the qualifiers are taking place. And when you come to the Ashanti region, we are expecting 88 schools to compete and also secure a place in the national championship. We are going to have 22 different contests occurring. Yesterday we had 4 and we had 5 schools qualifying. And the interesting part is Yasantua Senior High School or Yasantua Girls has returned to the national championship. You know, last year, they lost, they couldn't qualify for the national championship, but this time around, yesterday, they came in and qualified. After second round, they were trailing by about 9 points yesterday, but wonderful comeback from the girls. They closed the gap in round 3 to about 4 points, and the last round, they did magic in that particular contest. They qualified with 40 points, and Joseph Jabin Senior High School also came second with 35 points in there. But we also had Maka, that's Kumasi Academy, also opening the contest, the qualifiers in the Ashanti region, and they also qualified in a wonderful manner. We had Ejusuman and also in Sutaman Catholic SHS, all securing 40 points in their contest to also qualify. But one interesting thing about the Ashanti region now is that after all the 4 contests ended, we've realized that almost all the schools, even though they are not able to qualify, almost all of them are getting more than 30 points in their contest. It shows how strong they are when it comes to the National Science and Math quiz. Today we are having 4 contests also happening here. And the first one is ongoing, which is involved, Afia Kobi is involved in that particular contest. And we also have Aguna SDA and St. Joseph from Bekwai and Wesley High School also competing.
All right. Thank you so much, Collins, for that update from the Ashanti region. And that's it for Joe News Desk today. Thank you for your company.